think, but whatever said and done, it leaves digital footprints. And if the investigator is pretty good technically, he or she can definitely find out the source and the origin of the crime. Therefore, Edmond Locard, he was called as the Sherlock Holmes of France, he said, every contact by a criminal leaves behind a trace. Okay, now just to explain this to you, if you're going to any place to commit a crime, if you just touch somewhere, you're going to leave your fingerprint. Or if the room is hot, probably your sweat drop might fall down, or your footprints are left somewhere, or your hair must have fallen down. So that way, you are going to leave a trace of yours, as well as you're going to take something from there, probably the dust from the room you're going to take and go, or anything of that sort. Okay, so this is the Edmund Locard's principle. In my principle, what I always tell is the computers never lie. Okay, the computers never lie, because many a times what happens is people may lie, but if you go and check their computers, you can actually understand whether the person is telling the truth or not. So just to give you an example, this is one tool, my dear friends. You can download it. It is an open source free tool. It is called the Last Activity View. Okay, it's a free tool, not an open source. I'm not sure if it is open source, but it is a free tool. It is Last Activity View. So you can just go to this Google and type Last Activity View, download this, and you can find out what are the activities that had happened on your system. Like, what did you do? You opened Word file, you opened your PowerPoint, or you opened the browser, you opened PDF. Anything that you do, everything is recorded. Everything. You can't simply tell, no, no, I did not do this, I did not do that. Now, why am I telling this? Is the other day I had I had kept my laptop open in my chamber, and I just left. And then there were some students there in the room. So after I left, I just wanted to see if they're going to do anything with my laptop, because it's an open laptop. And I was right, because the first thing that the student did was he opened my gallery just to see if I have any photos. Then they opened my Gmail to check what emails I sent and I received. I had just gone for 10 minutes, and within 10 minutes they did all these things. And then I used this Last Activity View and found out what are those things that they did. But I never told them, because I did not want them to know that I got to know what they did. Because many a times it is better to know things and still keep quiet, isn't it? So this is called Last Activity View. Similarly, one more software, a free software that you get. It's called as the USB Historian version 1.3, 1.4. So there are different versions, the newer ones you can check. So USB Historian is one wonderful software which tells you which are the plug and play devices. It can be USB, it can be an iPod, it can be anything. Which are those devices that have been connected to your system? Because sometimes what will happen, somebody might get one external hard drive or a pen drive and connect to your system and take the data from your system. But you don't know whether the person has taken, because files are such that if you copy a file and paste the file, you get two files, isn't it? So it's not that if you put the file from C drive to D drive, there is nothing left in the C drive. You don't have to do that. You don't have to copy, you don't have to cut and paste. You can copy and paste. So what happens is a file remains in the C drive as well as a new file comes in the D drive. The same contents comes in the D drive. So if you want to know if any person has connected any peripheral devices to your system, you will get to know. So this is called as USB Historian. Now, why am I telling this? Is because whatever you do on the internet leaves digital footprints. I repeat, whatever you do on the internet, it leaves digital footprints. So there are 12 tips for students and as well as everybody else to manage their digital footprints. The first thing is, please be kind, helpful, and understanding. Make the best use of the privacy settings and keep a list of all the accounts that you have, because many times what we do, we go on a rampage to create email accounts or Facebook accounts. Don't do that. Keep a list of it. Don't overshare use a password keeper. It is always recommended. And Google yourself, will see about it in some time. Monitor the linking account. See, I tell people, if you are logging on to any website, a news site, please don't log in using Google or Facebook, because what will happen is tomorrow if your Facebook account gets compromised, even these associated accounts also will get compromised, and you don't know how shady these associated accounts are. Probably they may even take a lot of content from your Google or Facebook accounts. So create a new profile, because I'm talking about a new profile in that particular news site, because you just can't believe all these sites. And consider using anonymous secondary email for all your online activities. At least skim the terms and conditions. I know reading terms and conditions is very difficult, because the William Shakespeare's Macbeth and Hamlet had about, I think, 20,000 plus words. But if you have a look at the terms and conditions of Apple or Google, they've got more than 30,000 words. So you need to know that reading them is difficult, but at least you can skim them and know that if you send something, it is like publishing it forever. Okay, you send something, that's it. You can't unsend it because it is sent. Probably you may think that you have unsent because some software may show that they have unsent, but still you never know if the sent copy is still with them or not. And understand that the searches are social, and use digital tools to manage your digital footprint. So we will see a little more about this. So my question to all of you, how many of you have searched about yourself on Google? If you have searched, please type yes. Is there anybody who has searched about yourself? Now your name is Anand Prabhu, you search Anand Prabhu on Google. What information you have got? How many of you have searched? Please use the comment section for commenting. Okay, so good. I'm glad to see that there are many people who have used. But so let's get into the details of it. Okay, so
Got a wow.
okay, so now look at this. Okay, when it comes to googling about yourself, okay, you need to understand that the surface web that you see is only 4%. I mean the websites that are indexed by Google or other search engines, it's only 4%. Remaining 90% are deep web, not indexed, like your emails or the databases or the government records and all them. And the 6%, that is more than the surface web, there is something called as a dark web, which is again the obscured, and it is difficult to discover, and usually a lot of nefarious or a lot of illegal activities usually happen at the dark web. So now I'm going to tell you people, I just have three things here. Okay, I have the name of a person by name Jeffrey Bruin. I know that he cycles, and I know that he's from Netherlands. Okay, now these are the three things that I know about him. Now, how much of information I can collect just by these three things? Let's have a check. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is, because I know that he cycles, I will go to this website called as Strava. So I go to Strava and I search for him. I got his profile. I got to know that he's from a place called Hilo. Okay, he's from Hilo, Netherlands. So I got to know the route map where he usually goes for cycling, the duration, everything. All these things I got to know. So I'm now zeroing down on him. Okay, so I got to know so much. Now the next thing I do is I go on Twitter. On Twitter, when I see his username, it is 1981. So I'm pretty sure that that's his date of the year of birth. So many of us make that mistake by putting our year of birth in Facebook usernames or in email IDs, which should never be done. Okay. Then his website link was there in that profile and some of his photos. And then what I do is I check for that name on Yellow Pages. I get to know where his house is, his address is. I search him on LinkedIn and I get to know where he studied, which are the places he worked, where he's currently working, which are his connections and things like that. After that, I go on Facebook, I search for him, I get a lot of information about him. I get to know who his partner is, who his child is, all these things, name of the child, name of the partner, name of the pub where he hangs out, all the details I get. Okay, so the point here is, unless and until we search about ourselves, we would not know how much of our private information has gone public. Okay, so my request for all of you is, you have to do this. You have to search for yourself on Google, and then upon searching, if at all you come across any of your private information, I request you to contact me. We will make sure that we'll connect to that particular website and get that thing removed at the earliest, because it should not stay there. Now look at this. I had uploaded a photo of mine and I had told that, this was clicked in Maldives. And then there was somebody, what they did is, they downloaded the photo. Upon downloading, they went to this website called pic2map.com. Okay, I repeat, pic2map.com, and they uploaded the photo. And when they uploaded the photo on Pic2Map, it showed that this particular picture was taken in Colombo Beach. It was not Maldives. They understood that I had lied, telling that it is Maldives, but actually it is Colombo Beach. Why? Because any photo that you take on a digital camera or your mobile phone, by default, the GPS, the global positioning system coordinates, gets embedded in the EXIF of the photo. So what is EXIF? So EXIF is the metadata of your photo, which tells a lot of information about your photo. So what you can do is, you can go to any website on Google, and you can just type for EXIF data, and you will get so many websites. You just upload a photo in those EXIF data extractor websites, and you will get to know that these are the various EXIF data. It tells you what is the size of the file, which camera was used to take the photo, what is the resolution of the camera. It also tells what whether the flash was on or off. You understand? So it tells the GPS positions, it tells the ISO value, all the things. It will go on and on and on telling you. So you can extract so much of information from EXIF. So EXIF viewers, this is the first thing that a forensic guy does. He just uploads the photo on an EXIF extractor and tries to understand. Now see, in this case, the camera is Canon, it is EOS 20D, and you also get to know that the date on which it was taken, original date, digitized date, all these things you get. And also, if at all, if it is a morphed photo, if at all it has been edited, or if at all it has been made to look better, you also get to know which is a software like Photoshop or Corel Draw or anything. You get to know which software was used for editing. So this way you can understand a lot of information from the EXIF. And as I said, it is not only about Google. There is a nice branch in data science and data forensic, I should say, called as the OSINT, which stands for Open Source Intelligence. So you can just Google for OSINT, and OSINT framework is one fantastic website where you can get so much of information about somebody. You can get the username, email address, domain, IP address, etc., phone numbers, and Google Maps. So many things that you can get from OSINT, and it is all free. It is open source and anybody can access, because all it does is it tries to get information from the public domain. So the assignment is, all of you have to search about yourselves, because many a times we are on social media, we would not know if our friends have tagged us. Probably our friends have tagged us, or we have come on some photo, we have come in the background of somebody's photo which you did not want it to come. So there are many instances. So if you don't want it to be there, you can always ask for it to be pulled down. So Google is a very good search engine, but most of us do not know certain hacks which can be used on Google, which can give us a lot of additional information, and this is called as Google Doc. Okay, so you can use Google Doc, like for example, instead of just searching Jeffrey Bruin, you could have put them in inverted commas, or J Bruin, or Jeffrey Bruin Helio, that is his place, or Bruin J. So you can use various combinations and try to get more information from the Google. You can also search on DuckDuckGo, which is the safest. It is the safest search engine, because I know that many of you have experienced this. Now, for example, 2 days back, a friend of mine had come and told Anant, I want to buy a camera. So we just searched for 2 or 3 cameras on Google, Canon and Nikon, and different cameras. And trust me, my dear friends, any website that I visit, any website, since day before yesterday, I am seeing only camera ads. Okay, I'm seeing only camera ads. No other ads are showing up except for camera ads. So this is how Google works. So they try to understand what your buying preferences are, or what you're looking for, and they try to sell that to you. So this is how their revenue and business model is. So DuckDuckGo is one search engine. DuckDuckGo is a search engine which is almost as powerful as Google. I don't say it is absolutely powerful, but yeah, it is pretty good. But then it is safe, because they don't store your data. And you can also use certain other operators, like you can just use an operator called site and colon and the name of the site, like for example vtu.ac.in. You just write that and you search for something, it will show you results only of vtu.ac.in. So you can use file type, like for example, many of us want to download a PDF file. So we instead of writing PDF, you can write file type colon PDF. So that way what will happen, only the PDF files will show up. So this way, you can do a lot on Google, and that is going to help you, which is called as Google Docs. If any of you are interested, you can scan the QR code. Okay, so you can scan the QR code, and you will get the cheat sheet. You will get the cheat sheet about the Google the hacking codes, which you can use. I know that after I told that you are not going to use the QR code for scanning, so instead what you can do is you can just note down the link below. You can note down the link below, and you can download that PDF file, which is a very good file for you to search more on Google. Okay, so the question here is, how do hackers hack? Okay, now you know that the hackers would take your data from your system, but if I have to tell you, out of say 100%, 90% of the times it doesn't happen that way, where they use brute force attacks, or they use SQL injection attacks, or they use backdoor, or all these things. No, it doesn't happen that way, because only 10% of the times where the cases are very big, there only you will have such type of attacks. But otherwise, I don't think so such attacks happen. Most of the times the attack happens this way. See, the human brain is not a computer. We need to understand, and we need to accept it, because many a times though we know certain things, we make stupid decisions, isn't it? So the human brain is not a computer, number one. And the decision making process in the human brain, there are two types. One is called unconscious emotion. Other one is called as conscious thinking. Now, for a mother, if a child is studying in school, say about first standard or second standard, so the mother goes to the school and she sees the child. The first thing she do is going to hug the child. Now, this is unconscious emotion, where she's not telling herself whether I should hug or whether I should not hug. So this is called as unconscious emotion. Now, let us assume that two friends meet after a pretty long time, and there has been no communication between them. Now, to hug for the first time, probably they may not feel very comfortable. So they'll take a call, they'll ask themselves, should I hug or should I not hug? So this type is called as conscious thinking. Okay, so you have unconscious emotion and conscious thinking. Conscious is where your intellect comes into picture. Unconscious is where the emotion takes over your intelligence. So this is very fast, involuntary, and associative, implicit responses. Like somebody gives you a handshake, you just raise your hand. So implicit responses. Now, why did I tell this? Is because what the hackers do is they use a technique called a social engineering technique where they try to connect to you emotionally and they try to get the information from you. For example, I think many of you have seen the Jamtara. So, in the Jamtara serial, the web series, the girl calls up a middle-aged or a retired, a senior man and tells, "Sir, we are very happy to tell that you have been recognized as the best customer of the bank because you have paid the dues on time, you have paid the loan on time and everything. So the bank wants to give you a ticket to you and your wife to go on a second honeymoon to some abroad foreign country. So all we need is we need your credit card details to cross verify if I'm talking to the right person." That person is so excited because he could never take his wife on a second honeymoon because probably he did not have the money. So when he got this call, the first thing he does is he gives the debit card number or the credit card number and the CVV number, and this is how his account got compromised. So now this type does not require too much of technical understanding. It's all about the social engineering techniques where they convince the other person to reveal the information which he or she should not have. Now, the first thing I tell everybody in my workshops is I want you people to use this privacy filter screen on your laptops or desktops, especially if you're sitting in a staff room or you're sitting in the office or you're sitting somewhere where there's a glass behind where somebody can stand at the backside and see what you're browsing. So if you put this privacy screen, my dear friends, it's called the privacy filter. Even the person sitting next to you will not be able to see what is on the screen. So this is very important because what we do, it might be confidential, what you type or what you do or your conversations and all that. And you don't want somebody to attack you by, this is called a shoulder surfing. You can see at the top, shoulder surfing, where they see what you are typing or what you are writing from over the shoulder. So this should not happen. I request all of you to please install this windscreen widescreen privacy filter, which will help you to keep your data or whatever is there on the digital device, the display, to be safer. So I wanted to tell you this. The other day, one attack happened. The anti-corruption bureau people, they went to one of the offices, and you know that when attacks happen, these people, the important files, what they do is they put it in a machine called as a shredder. So what a shredder does is it makes the entire document into several pieces. Okay, so this is how the several pieces were, and the ACB people were very upset because the crucial information which they wanted has got shredded. But there was a tech savvy guy in the ACB. What he did is he took all the pieces and he just arranged the pieces in a very nice way. Okay, but still you could not make out what it is, but he just arranged it in a very nice way. He downloaded a software which is called as Unshredder. I repeat, the name of the software is called Unshredder. He downloaded this software, took a photograph of this particular jigsaw puzzle, I should say, because you know all the pieces he had kept there. He took a photograph of this and opened that photograph on Unshredder. Trust me, my dear friends, he got the original document back. So Unshredder is one tool which uses a lot of intelligence. We are using AI, ML, so it can actually get back the shredded documents. That's why it's called Unshredder. It can get back the shredded documents. It's a reconstruction tool. So we are living in an era where even those files and papers that were mutilated or that were torn into several pieces, that were shredded, can still be recovered. So I repeat, the name of the software is called as Unshredder. So today I'm going to talk about 17 new generation crimes, 17 new generation crimes, which we will see in detail. And then if you have any questions, probably you can ask in some time. Okay, so the first one is, you must have all watched Singham movie, isn't it? So in the Singham movie, they portray him as a larger than life police officer. And because of that, many people many people love to make friendship with police. Why? Because they always look up to them as larger than life figures. Now, the biggest mistake which few of the police officers had done is by posting their photos on Facebook in uniform. Okay, so what the hackers did recently, this happened about 1 or 2 months back, they started downloading the photos of the police and they started creating fake profiles in the name of the police. And the minute somebody gets a friend request from a police, there are 60 or 70% chances that the person, even if he doesn't know the police officer, would accept, because it's a matter of pride to have an SP or a DIG or a ACP, DCP in your friend list. So keeping that in mind, these hackers, what they did is they started creating fake profiles, and after that they started sending friend requests, and people started accepting the friend requests. And then you know what happened? What happened is the person started asking for 5,000 or 8,000 rupees, very small quantum of amount, because they didn't want the doubt to happen. So they started asking for small amount, and trust me, my dear friends, many lost money. Many thought that they're actually sending money to the police, but actually it was not for the police. It was for the cyber criminal who made a fake profile, and cheated people. So the point which I want to make here is, the first one is, many think that if you are using Instagram, then your photo cannot be taken. Especially many girls, when I ask them, are you on Facebook, they're like, no, we are on Insta. Like, why are you on Insta? Because on Insta you can't check the DP, isn't it? That's wrong, because there's a site called instadp.com. I repeat, instadp.com. You put anybody's username, you can download their high resolution photo. Yes, I'm not kidding. You can go to instadp.com, you can put anybody's username and you can download their DP, even if that DP is locked or protected or whatever nonsense it is. So you can not only take their DP, you can take the stories, you can take the reels, and things like that. So be very careful, okay? So because many of them, what they do is they put these photos on Insta DP thinking that it comes as a very small thumbnail and people will not be able to zoom and see. Absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. Okay, so, and the section 66C of the IT Act tells that anybody who creates a identity theft, that is creating fake profile or something like that, is liable for 3 years of imprisonment or 1 lakh rupees fine. So don't even by mistake create your friends or anybody's fake profile for a joke also, because you never know when it would be used against you. So careful. And my request for all of you is, please go to the Facebook and Instagram and all that, the privacy settings, and make sure that when it comes to friend request and friend list and all that, you properly you select the privacy settings, because there is no point in showing your friend list to all of them. So I always tell, keep your friend list only to me, not even to friends, because if somebody adds you as a friend, they'll be able to see who your friends are. Don't show who your friends are to anybody, because you never know what can go wrong. So what can go wrong, I'll tell you in some time, but for now, your phone number, your email address and all that, try to keep it as private as possible. Okay, so coming to the second one, just before I go to the second one, I just want to see, are you following it? Are you following it with the? Is it okay in the comment section, please? Are
Yes,
you
sir.
following?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We are
Uh,
following.
ठीक, ठीक. Oh, thank you very much. Okay. So let me get back. So this question now to all of you, what exactly is this? Can anybody put it in the comment section and tell me what is this? I want to see what is this. I'm going back to the comment section. I want to know what is this. If somebody gives the right answer, probably I'll give a prize to that person. What is that? Anyone? Locker. Okay. Xerox machine. Okay. Anything else? ठीक है. So there's no rocket science here, but this is basically a coffee vending machine. Yeah, okay, it's a coffee vending machine. So you must have seen a coffee machine in airports or in everywhere. So, yeah. So, but this vending machine, if you can see in the center there is that Onida ghost kind of image, the evil image. That is because the coffee vending machine has got hacked. Yeah, and the coffee vending machine has got hacked, and the type of the attack that the coffee vending machine has gone through is called as the ransomware attack. So here basically what happens is any digital device can be a subject of a ransomware attack, wherein all the files that are there in the particular device gets locked, it gets encrypted, and you will not be able to use those files. And you will not be able to use that files, and then if at all you want to decrypt the file, then you are expected to pay money to the attacker, who will finally give you the key, and then you can unlock it. And again, there is a time frame, because you get that stopwatch there. If you don't pay by that time, all the files get erased. And let me tell you, my dear friends, there are many instances where people have paid and they have not got the key. Okay, where the hacker is unresponsive after you're paid, or the hacker demands for more money after you're paid, because hackers are not ethical, isn't it? So this is one thing that can happen. So recently, Suzanne Roshan, I think not even 1 week ago, Suzanne Roshan, that ex-wife of Hrithik Roshan, she also fell prey to one fake email, and she thought it is from Instagram, and her Instagram account just got hacked. Okay, so anybody can get hacked by this particular method, wherein you receive a fake email or a fake link, you press on that, and then the whatever you never expected, that happens. Because in 2019 a business fell victim to ransomware attack every 14 seconds. Okay, every 14 seconds you had one ransomware attack happening all over the world. So ransomware is very dangerous. Just imagine this. Okay, I had a session now at 2 o'clock, and I had kept my PPT ready, and suddenly when I switch on my laptop, if everything is encrypted, what do I do? How do I present? Therefore, but I'm glad that the Gopalan College had sent an email to me right yesterday itself, telling that please send us your PPT, so that if anything untoward incident happens, we are there and we will take care of it. So that shows the preparedness of the organizers. So I'm glad and happy with regard to that. But you know what has happened is, of lately everything on the internet, everything is on the internet. For example, your watch has got internet, your shoes has got internet, your TV has got internet, your fridge has got internet. Talking about fridge, the other day when I went to one place, I saw a fridge, the egg tray is there. That egg tray, if you keep 12 eggs and you remove 8 eggs, only if 4 eggs are remaining, the egg tray in the fridge understands that you're running short of eggs, and the fridge sends an SMS to your phone telling that you're running short of eggs, time to order for fresh eggs from Reliance Fresh or Amazon Fresh, and they give you the link there. You just click on the link, and by afternoon or evening the eggs get delivered to you. Okay, so the level of technology is what we are living in. So having the Internet of Things where almost everything is connected. So what I want to tell you is that there are dangers associated with this, because many of us wear the Fitbit, these days, Fitbit and Goki and all that, where you can just wear your watch and it tells you how many steps you have walked or how many calories you have burnt and things like that. Let me tell you this, where there was a girl, her name is Jane Slater. No, sorry, reporter Jane Slater had mentioned that. So telling that an ex-boyfriend, I think it's the same lady, I'm not very sure, but the point here is she and a boyfriend, both of them had bought one Fitbit watch. Okay, and you know that the couple goals, right? So both of them wanted to burn calories, and both of them wanted to look fitter and all that. And one fine day the boyfriend tells her that he had to go somewhere to for a meeting, and he will not be there for 3 days. But this girl was very suspicious, so she just checked the Fitbit activity, and it showed unusual activity at 4 a.m. Okay, unusual activity at 4 a.m. was shown, which very clearly showed that the boy was what? cheating on her, isn't it? So then they broke up and things like that. But the whole point here is, uh, how do I say? Then one of the workshops, there was somebody who asked me, "Sir, what was that boy doing at 4 a.m.?" And I did not know. I told probably he was doing Surya Namaskar. Okay, then what else can I say? Because anyway, Surya Namaskar is extremely good and it will help you to stay fit. But you know what it is. So more than 6 billion fake emails are sent every day, my dear friends. More than 6 billion fake emails. So this is something crazy. Okay, the numbers are astonishing. So when we talk about fake emails, it can be phishing, where one mail is sent to 100 people, where they're told that they won Coca-Cola jackpot or something like that, which we call a Nigerian scam. Many a times you get some unbelievable offers. So this is clone phishing. So sometimes there is something called a spear phishing, where they even in fact put your name there, so it looks very personalized and you feel that this is actually sent to you. So this is called as a spear phishing. And the third one is called a whaling, where they target only the top level management, because they catch the big whales. Now what happens with the top level is, usually the top level will have access to all the systems, so if they can just attack the top level, they can trickle down to any level they want. So this is how it works. So there are many other crimes also, but before that I want you to please refer this website called cybersafegirl.com. There is a free course, 30 module course, talking about 30 different cyber crimes and what are the precautionary steps that you need to take. You can also download the Cyber Safe Girl book, and each module has got one crime and also the related IPC and the IT Act, so that you know about the IT Act and the Indian Penal Code also. So for this for the entire project, I was recently honored as one among the 30 unsung heroes of India by India Today in the year 2019. And yesterday, for the same project, I in fact got the Karnataka District Rajotsava Award. Okay, so anyways. So 30 different crimes, and I want all of you to please go through it, so that you learn from others' mistakes rather than committing one by yourself. Okay, the webroot threat report says that more than one third of the websites, that more than 35% of the websites are unsafe. So before you click on the URL, you should understand that either it can be high risk, moderate risk, or low risk. So this is very important, because just like hotels, you have these menu cards, wherein in the dark web, you must have remembered the 6% of the internet is the dark web. So in the dark web, you have these menus where you want to hack somebody's email, you pay 0.078 bitcoins, or you pay $500, and that person will hack that email account. You want to hack a social media account, you pay $230. You want to change the school grades. Okay, we talk about distinction, first class, second class, and all that. You want to change the school grades, you pay $1,200. They're going to hack into the server of the university and they're going to change the grades. So you want to hack somebody's computer, or you want to put a keylogger, so it is all there. You just need to know how to stay protected from such things. Okay, so coming to the third one. So this is common, right? The boy and the girl, before they go to sleep, the boy can ask for the girl, please send me a picture before I go to sleep. Now the girl is thinking whether I should send or not, because if I send, probably what if the picture gets misused? And if I don't send, oh my God, the emotional atyachar that will follow that. So, but still, many a times we send photos. I have sent photos. I'm pretty sure that you also send photos. And the tool that we use for sending photos, the social media messaging platform that we use for sending photos, is WhatsApp. Please remember, my dear friends, it's very, very unsafe. No matter what ad you see telling that it is only between you and the other person, I don't believe in it. If you really want something that is very safe, then it is Silent Circle or Red Phone, OSTEL, Chat Secure, Signal. I'm pretty sure that most of you have not heard these names because instead of people like you and me using such safest technologies, the terrorists are unfortunately using them, because we have seen that whenever the terrorists are caught and their phones are confiscated, they use such highly encrypted social media messaging platforms because they don't want them to be decrypted. So coming to the next one, the fourth one is you know that you open any tab, and many a times we now right now you're watching this, but there must be many tabs also open. Okay, so when you see a tab, what a hacker can do is they can change the icon and make it resemble like a target tab. See, for example, actually the third one is Quora.com. Okay, and the third one down is Gmail, but in fact it is looking like Gmail, but it is not Gmail. It is Quora.com. You see that? Are you seeing it there? So the Quora, I make it look like Gmail. Similarly, there is a website called actingsafe.com. That's the website, but I make it look like Gmail. Many a times, I can even create a fake login page also, which looks like a real Gmail page. And many of us don't read the URL. We think it looks like Gmail and it is Gmail, and we enter our username and password, and one copy of the username and password goes to the attacker, and the attacker can send the other copy to the Gmail and make the actual Gmail page load. So this is very dangerous, and this type of an attack is called as tab napping. Okay, it's called as tab napping, where they make the tabs look like a genuine website, but actually they are not. So be careful about it. And the fifth type of an attack. So I always tell, whenever a beautiful girl sends you a friend request, my dear friends, I tell this to the guys, whenever a beautiful girl sends you a friend request, do not accept him. Okay, do not accept him, because many a times they're all fake profiles. And off lately, you know what happened, this has happened to the minimum 15 people whom I know personally. They've got conned by this. 15 people whom I know have undergone this. A beautiful girl sends you a friend request, you accept the request, and then she gives you her phone number and you WhatsApp her. She calls you on WhatsApp. As soon as she starts talking to you, within a minute or two, she removes her top, and the boy also looking at that, he also removes his shirt or pant or I don't know what. And then after the conversation is cut, finally they the girl tells, I have taken I've recorded your screen. Now if you are not going to pay me money, I'm going to put it on YouTube, I'm going to send it to all your friends. Now the point here is, how does the girl know who all your friends are? Now let's go back to what I said that time. When it comes to privacy of your Facebook profile, you have to make sure that all your friends are made as private. Nobody should know who your friends are, because they can always use the friend list to send a lot of things against you to all those people. So please make sure that your friend list is always protected and private. Okay, so and whenever you get such random requests and some girl video calls you, for God's sake, please do not accept those calls and do not talk to them, because you may think, what will happen if I simply talk? I'll not do anything. They even morph others videos and put it there and make it look like it is your video. So this is what they are doing. Coming to the sixth one. So now this is the original photo where somebody is giving a flower to Modi ji, and there is this joker. What he has done is he has removed the original person and they put there. Now why such attacks can happen is because many a times we upload contents, we upload photos of high resolution. So high resolution photos are very easy to morph. Okay, and this was earlier, people used to do, like, they take your photo, remove your neck and your head above that and put it to some naked body and make you look naked, but it was evident that this is not actually a real photo. You could make out it's a morph photo. But these days, now look at this photo, myself and Modi ji, whether it is a real photo or a fake photo. Can you please tell in the comment section? I would just like to see whether it is a real photo or a fake photo. Okay, so that's The CM of your state. Very nice, very nice. Okay, so is it a real photo or a fake photo? I'd just like to know. Real one? Real? So you could fake. Okay. Just wanted to know that because real. Okay. Anyway, so fortunately, it's a real photo that was released by Modi ji. But the point here is there is this new type of an attack which is called as deep fakes, where you can make the other person do what you are doing. Okay, so like for example, you see the right person, whatever he talks, it looks like what Obama is talking, and you can use a photo to create a video, and you can, it's very dangerous create using a photo to create a video. And many a times, see now look at this. I was talking about the child pornography that time. Imagine this, okay? So 41 people in Kerala were arrested recently because they were searching for child pornography. So this is very, very dangerous. Now, why am I telling this is because when it comes to all these things, your high resolution photos, they can create a video of yours which can be god for second video, isn't it? So you have to be very careful. And this is one tool that is available, which is called as porn detection stick. So as many parents usually use this, so they can just put it into anybody's system and they can find out if any pornographic content is there in that system. It scans the entire system and tells if porn is there. So this is one tool which the cops also use in order to detect porn. So because as you know that watching porn in India so far is legal, but downloading is legal, but forwarding is illegal. Okay, so you have to be careful about it. And when it comes to watching or downloading or forwarding of child porn, is absolutely illegal. So if at all they get these child pornography, then you know that 5 years, 7 years, and all that. So be careful. And also many a times what happens is people tell that, nanadu madle, I have not done that, I have not watched it and all that. So there are tools from Foxton. It's a free tool, you can download this. It's called Foxton Forensics Browser History. So this will exactly tell you which are the sites that you have viewed, how many times you have viewed, what is the duration of your viewing, and what is your pattern of viewing. All these things it's going to tell. So be very careful. A lot of forensic tools are available. I think there are a couple of sessions on browser and other forensics also in this AICT sponsored talks. But I just wanted you to know that there are tools, even though if you lie, your system will not lie. Okay, now coming to the seventh one. If there are girls watching this webinar, you must be knowing that these are the products which you like. I know, and many a times these are very expensive products where a lipstick might cost about 3,000 or 4,000 bucks. I don't know, but whatever it may be. The other day, a friend of mine, she received a message telling that 10 MAC lipsticks, which otherwise costs about 30 grand, is available for only 5,000 rupees, and she was shocked. For 5,000, I'm going to get MAC lipsticks that to 30, and she ordered it because it was from Amazon.com. And she ordered it, and then 1 month passed and she did not get the products. And then she calls me up and she tells, I didn't get. I said, call up the helpline of Amazon customer care. And then when she asked for what happened to my order, Amazon said, you have not placed that order at all. You've not placed that order at all. And why did this happen? Because this is called as the homographic domain attack. Now look at this. Now there are three things here. Tracksoft.com. There are three tracksofts.com. Can anybody tell me which is the actual tracksoft.com? One, two, or three? Which one? I want to see in the comment section. 1, 2, or 3. Which is the actual tracksoft.com? First one. First one. Okay. So, in fact, just to tell all of you, the actual one is the third one. Okay. Now, why is it the third one? Because it all looks the same, but you need to understand that if you hold the A button on your keypad for a long time, you can get such different types of A, isn't it, on your phone? And this works on all the vowels. You can hold it a long press for A, E, I, O, U, and you will get all these types of Cyrillic characters. And you can buy domains which are Latin, or you can also buy domains that are Cyrillic. So here that you're seeing on the top, it is Cyrillic, and the bottom O is Latin. So this way, what happens is many fake domains are there. Earlier, they used to do like Amazon, Zone.com, Amazon.com, and things like that. They used to buy these fake domains, but now hackers have gone one step ahead, where using homographic domain attacks, they are actually buying the domains that look exactly like the real domain by using Cyrillic instead of Latin, because English can be written in Cyrillic as well as Latin. So they use the Cyrillic to buy the domains. And what happens is usually when you click on these type of links, by using a technique which is called as drive-by downloads, okay, drive-by downloads, automatically the files get downloaded on your system without your notice. In the background, the files get downloaded, and many a times are executable files where they, upon download, they get executed and they get installed. And the most common file that gets installed is called as a keylogger. So a keylogger is a file. It's very small, 600 to 800 KB. But if it is installed on your phone or on your desktop, anything that you do on your computer, my dear friends, anything that you do, one copy comes to the person who has installed it. So this way, your entire privacy of the system is at stake. So you have to be very careful. That's why I tell people you have to check if any hardware keylogger is there as well as software keylogger is there. Hardware is easier to check because you can see in one of the USB ports, this type of a USB device would be there. But many a times a lot of wires and the CPU is kept somewhere at the bottom, so going and checking gets difficult. That is why many of them, what they do, they use the hardware keylogger, just go and put it at the back, and then anything that you do comes. So my request for all of you is, please, on every digital device that you have, I'm talking about laptops, tabs, or your mobile phones, please install a paid antivirus which can tell you if your device has been compromised or not. Because in the earlier session, my guru, Sanjay Sahai sir, I think he had taken a wonderful session wherein he always tells hacking is the new normal. Now, what is hacking is the new normal? Whenever I asked, sir, what does it mean? He told, Anand, the 95% of the people, or the Fortune 500 companies, or anyone for that matter, their systems have been hacked or compromised 95% of the time. And then I told him, what about the 5%? He did 5% do not know that their system has been hacked or compromised. So you got it, right? So whether you know or you don't know, hacking is the new norm. So we have to be very, very careful when it comes to uh, your online privacy and security. So coming to the eighth one. So I tell people, don't post your photos where outside your house and all that, because it is like an open invitation to people. See, the other day I saw this picture. It like I request somebody to please keep your mic on mute, please. Yeah, thank you. So this looked like a leaning tower of Pisa, but in fact, it is not leaning tower of Pisa. It is a Coit tower. Okay, all you need to do is just open that image on Google Lens. Now, why am I telling this is you can also open an image on TinEye, which is a reverse search image, which many of them use for finding. If you have the person's photo, you can reverse search and find their Facebook profile, or you can reverse search and find where it was clicked and things like that. Okay, so it's a reverse image search which you can do it on Google Lens or TinEye. Now, why am I telling this is many a times you stand outside your house and you take photos. So once the photo is taken and the hacker gets it, he can find the location even if the GPS coordinates are not there. Even if you have disabled GPS, he can find it because it will tell you where it might have been taken looking at the areas around. So be very careful while uploading any images. Coming to the ninth one, many a times on different groups that we are in, we get these messages telling that you have won a scratch card, and people have clicked on them unfortunately, and upon clicking and scratching they get about 899, 1000, 5000 rupees. And when they get that, the person tells you, or the software itself tells you, to scan a QR code. The minute you scan the QR code, or the person sends you on WhatsApp a QR code, please understand, my dear friends, when you have to transfer money, UPI PIN is asked. But when you have to receive money, UPI PIN is never asked. And many a times when they tell that they have won 25,000, UPI PIN is asked, which is a very clear indication that in fact you have not received money, but you will be losing money. And in spite of many awareness posters by OLX and other players when it comes to such QR code hacking, people are still falling prey to this in large numbers. So I request all of you to please use this new type of a facility which is offered by HDFC Bank by name NetSafe, and other banks also offer this. These are called as virtual cards. So virtual card, basically what happens is, if you are doing an online transaction, you can generate a virtual card on your net banking portal, and it will give you a 16-digit card number. It will give you the name, it will give you CVV, expiry date, everything it will give, and you can specify the value, say 100 rupees or 500 rupees, 1000 rupees, you can tell. And that particular card can be used only once, my dear friends. It can be used only once, and any amount that is remaining in that card goes back to your account, and nobody can use that card once again. Now, the benefit of this is, even if somebody has compromised the system that you're working on, even if they get the card details, there is nothing that they can do about it, because it's a virtual card, it's a one-time usage card. So please make use of this virtual cards, which is a very, very good thing. Okay. And talking about one more crime, see, the other day I was flying to Bangalore, and there was a very pretty girl sitting next to me. I wanted to talk to her in the plane, did not have guts. So I just waited, because like anybody else, what she did is she took her boarding pass, which all of us get, because boarding pass will have your name, I know that, but beyond that, you actually don't get any information on the boarding pass. She put that boarding pass in the dustbin. She put it in the dustbin. I, for the first time, put my hand into the dustbin, and I removed the boarding pass just to find the QR code there. You can see the QR code there just above name. Yeah, that QR code, I scanned it by using an app called as Read My BOP. Okay, Read My BOP. BOP stands for boarding pass. So I use this app called as Read My BOP. I scanned the QR code, and upon scanning, trust me, my dear friends, I got so much details about her. Okay, so in fact, even if I'd asked her, probably I wouldn't have known all these things, but I got all her details by just scanning the boarding pass. So why am I telling this is, be very, very careful, especially in the airports. Many a times we throw the boarding pass into the dustbin once we get down, disembark from the flight. And many a times what happens is, we, as soon as we get on from the flight, we keep the baggage there and we go to the restroom. So this is also very dangerous, because even the baggages have got the baggage tags, and they also contain the similar information. So there are two things that you need to remember. One, responsibly discard these baggage tags. And the second one is, when it comes to the conveyor belts, when you go to collect your bags, please make sure that nobody is scanning it, because you know, data is the new oil. Data is the new oil. People want data. So a person can just stand near the conveyor belt and scan everybody's boarding passes which are attached to, I'm not talking about the boarding pass, the baggage tags, and he can get so much of information about different people, which can be sold again to advertisers and marketers. So you have to make sure that nobody scans your boarding pass as well as your baggage tags. So coming to the 10th one. So in the 10th one, Many of us have these credit cards which have got the wireless symbol on them. We call them as the NFC cards or the RFID cards. Please, my dear friends, remember that in India, to make any transaction with such cards up to 2000 rupees, no OTP, no PIN is required. Yes, you heard it right. No OTP, no PIN. That is why many a times, whenever you go to a petrol station and you fill in fuel, and if it is less than 2000, and if your card has got this Wi-Fi symbol, they will just ask for the card and they will just swipe it and give it to you. Not swipe it, it's flashing the card. They flash the card to the system and they will not ask for your OTP or ATM PIN. They will not ask for it because this is how these cards work. So in case if you have such cards, is there anybody here? I just want to see anybody has such cards who are attending the session. Do you have Wi-Fi cards? Yes. Okay. So people are having such Wi-Fi cards. So if you have such Wi-Fi cards, NFC cards there, not Wi-Fi, sorry, they are the NFC RFID cards. My sincere request for all of you is you have to buy this thing called as a debit card cover holder, which costs about 300 bucks, and put your card in that so that your RFIDs are safe. Okay. Or you can also buy, you can buy a wallet. Now this wallet that I'm using, so this is again a RFID safe wallet because anybody can otherwise access money from my credit or the debit card. So you have to be very careful. And 2 days back, I had a seminar for the higher officials of the bank of, the Union Bank. And I told them that whenever you're issuing such cards, because these will cost 30 bucks, you deduct 30 bucks from the account and you give the people, the customers, the RFID sleeves, the cover holders, so that their ATM cards will be protected. So they've agreed to it, but I don't know how quickly it would happen. But before the banks give, it is better you have yourselves protected. Okay. So coming to the 11th one. So the 11th one is during COVID, anything to do with COVID, we get scared. So the cyber criminals have understood this and they've started sending messages randomly to people telling that you have come in contact with a COVID positive patient. Click on the link below and fill in the details. So when they click on the link, if they don't click, within 3 minutes, another message comes. You have ignored the above message. Our officers from the department will come and arrest you and quarantine you. So immediately they will click on the link and they'll fill the details. And when they fill the details, as I told you, by drive-by downloads, you just click on the link, drive-by downloads, the malware can get infected, or they can also show you that they're doing a transaction of 5 rupees, because in the end it will tell submit form and pay 5 rupees, but it will show as 5, but in fact 500 rupees may go, 5,000 rupees may go, you never know. So any such attacks by email is called phishing, by phone is called as wishing, and by SMS it's called as smishing. So such attacks are common. Be very aware before clicking on the links, because 32% of the data breaches involve phishing. So phishing is one of the major attacks for it. So coming to the 12th one. And recently you must have seen many girls' photos were shared in this boys' locker room on Instagram, with some boys that started and they were commenting very bad, in a very bad way. They were commenting about those girls, about the clothes they wear, about the body shaming and things like that. So now this happens because most of our photos are online, our private photos are online. So we need to do the reconnaissance. Now reconnaissance is where we gather information about ourselves. So as the assignment that I told all of you, Google about yourself. Try to find out what information about you is online so that you can find it out and you can get it removed at the earliest, because otherwise such things are bound to happen. Somebody is going to call you because your number is there. They're going to video call you, you talk to them, and after talking to them, you know what will happen. So the videos will be made private. So I've put this once again, where when it comes to how people can contact you, wherever that everyone and friends and public is there, please try to make it private and only for me. And see the last point, that do you want search engines outside Facebook to link your profile? Say no, because you don't want somebody to do a reverse search of your photo and find out which is your Facebook profile. So anybody can what they can do is, you're walking in a supermarket, they take a photo of yours, and that photo they do a reverse search and they try to understand which is your public profile of Facebook. So this should not happen. So be very, very alert, because the other day what happened is, many of us have this a problem of posting everything on Facebook. Even if you go to the washroom, you tell, I'm in the washroom right now. So everything is made public. I don't know why. You go to a place, you check in, you go somewhere, you check in, your next future plans you put on Facebook. I'm going to have a baby, you put it on Facebook, everything on Facebook. So the other day, one thief had entered into a house, he robbed the house, and after that, he was relaxing in the house. He was having beer and he was eating chips and watching football. When the cops arrested him, he was shocked. Then the cops asked, like, you had come to steal the rob, but why did you go from here? Why are you still here for the last 2 days? And the man tells, because the person, the owner of the house, had put on his Facebook profile telling that for the next 5 days he's going for a vacation. And just because his boss had called him, he had to come back early within 2 days. And that is where this person got caught. So we have to be very careful about the information that we put on Facebook. So to avoid social engineering attack, you have to limit your public information. Be skeptical. Don't trust everybody. Trust but verify. Call them back, and no passwords over the phone. And if somebody tells that I'm your friend, pay money, give this and that, please do not believe, because that account might be compromised or hacked. So my question for all of you, I'll give a prize to the winner, which was the first programmable electronic general purpose digital computer. Anyone? Which was the first one? Let's see who tells the first answer. Nobody knows. Everybody is trying to Google. Okay, ENIAC. Oh, good, good. So Shilpa ma'am, congratulations. Fax machine, no, it's ENIAC. So congratulations, ma'am. You will get your prize later. So good. I'm glad that. So ENIAC, and it was 50 tons. So 1 ton is 1,000 kg. So 50 tons, such a huge system. Now, why am I telling this is because if I tell Shilpa ma'am, I'm glad that you have answered. Now the prize that you're going to get is this outdated system. So I'm pretty sure that she's going to tell, no, Anand sir, I don't want your system, you keep it to yourself. Now why? Because this is an outdated system. Similarly, whenever we are using apps, what we do is we do not update the apps. We do not update the operating system. We do not update them, and because of which you should understand that whenever a developer builds an app or an operating system, there are some loopholes, and he or she gets to know about the loopholes after some time. The minute they get to know the loopholes, they're going to plug the loopholes by releasing updates. So that is why you keep getting on your phone updates available. Updates may be to plug the loopholes. It might be to make your system more efficient. It may be to ensure that the battery does not get discharged soon, whatever it may be. Whenever updates come, what we do? We postpone it. We tell later. We tell tomorrow. Why? Because the GB on our phone, the data, it gets empty. It gets exhausted. So you should not think of all these things. The minute you get an update, please update it right away so that you are staying safe and protected. So coming to the 14th one. A lot of fake news is there on the internet these days. A lot of fake news. You must have seen during COVID, though, my goodness, there's so many fake news. They were telling simply somebody sitting at home getting bored. He used to just take his phone and type, take some chalk powder, put some honey, put some water and mix and drink. COVID will not come. And people have done that. You know, people have believed anything and everything that they see on WhatsApp or on social media. So be careful. Don't believe everything that you see, and there are many fact-checking websites. Snopes.com is one of the best websites for fact-checking. So please, whenever you get such nonsense forwards, you can go to Snopes.com and you can check it and verify whether it is true or false. Okay, so this is one thing that you need to do. And also the Press Information Bureau of India has got a fantastic fact-checking website. Karnataka Police also recently started fact-checking website. So you can please check facts, and if you're not sure, don't forward, because Forwarding is endorsing. You simply can't tell our Kalisidu, he sent it to me, so I sent it to her. No, that doesn't work in the court. So you have to be very, very careful. So coming to the 15th one. A lot of apps are there on our phones, and many a times there may be many apps that are malicious apps. So please, as I said, install antivirus on your phones, and second, check if any apps are there on your phones that are malicious, Chinese apps or some other apps, because many a times what we do is we also waste a lot of time on social media. So you can also use these monitoring and filtering programs like Antisocial or Onward, quality time, off time. So this will tell you how much time you're spending on an app, okay, how much time you're spending on social media or anything on your phone, so that you can have a proper life beyond the phone, beyond social media, beyond internet, because that is required. Because I see people taking phones even to their restrooms, because even while eating there is a phone is there every time. So that shows they can't live without it, but it is always better to have a balance between all these things. And especially the girls, I've seen many of them using these apps for the monthly cycle prediction and accurate calendar and all that. Please don't use these apps to talk about your health to any app, because the minute you give your physical details to it, then you're compromising on a lot of things. Like, let us assume that you miss the cycle, then the app gets to know that there is something wrong with you, and they may try to sell their products, or they may try to contact somebody else and things like that. So never ever use any things which will undermine your privacy, and which will make yourself very much vulnerable. So be very careful. Coming to the 16th one. So this is the best picture that I could find of her. I'm pretty sure all the men know who she is. But many a times what happens is we receive such images, we receive such photos, and these are all Trojans. Now, what do you mean by a Trojan? You must have watched this movie called Troy, where there were two kingdoms who were fighting against each other, and one king finally realizes that if this fight goes on, both of us are going to go for a toss, because we have limited supplies. So what they do is they call for truce, and one king gives the other one a huge wooden horse, which he very happily places it in the center of the city. And at night the horse opens, and the soldiers who are inside the horse, they come out and kill all the people in that particular city. So the name of that horse which carried the soldiers is called as a Trojan. Similarly here, this Sunny Leone that you see is a Trojan, because many a times you get these photos, you get videos, you get files on your system which carry viruses, which carry malware, which carry a lot of harmful stuffs in them. The photo might look very innocent, but the minute you download them, a lot of things can happen. So whenever you get any file on your WhatsApp or on any messenger or email, if you're not sure, or you get a link and you're not sure whether it is genuine or not, I request you to please visit this free website called virustotal.com. So you can go to virustotal.com, you can upload the file, you can paste the URL, or you can search for it, and you will get to know the scanned details, whether it is a suspicious file or whether it is safe for you to browse it or not. And also one more thing that I request all of you to do is visit this website called haveibeenpawned.com. You can just type it, haveibeenpawned.com, and type your email address there, and then search, and it will tell you whether you have been pawned or not. Because if you are pawned, the entire screen gets red and it tells, oh no, you have been pawned. The minute you are pawned, I request all of you to immediately opt for two-factor authentication, and also change your password. Make sure that your password has got 14 characters, and when I talk about 14 characters, it should have uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols. I repeat, uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols, and it should have 14 characters. So go to this haveibeenpawned.com and type your email address there, and just check and let me know whether you've been pawned or not. Coming to the last one, the 17th one, where people are snooping on you. People want to know more about you. They try to invade into your life and try to get your secrets out. So when they're snooping on you, there are different ways that they can snoop. See, these products are available for 800 rupees, 1000 rupees, 8 GB. 8 GB of pen drive with a mic in it, with about 15 to 20 days backup. Okay, somebody can just keep that pen drive on your table. You'll think it's a regular pen drive, but actually it's a voice recorder which will keep recording all your voice. It's a hidden digital voice recorder. So you don't know. So they've kept it in your drawer, or they've kept it on your table, and whatever you talk in your office, it gets recorded. Similarly, you also get this one more device, a very small device, smaller than your palm. If it is kept in your car, you wouldn't know. For 3 years, it would track you. For 3 years, it is the smallest size GPS tracker with long battery life, which can be put on any vehicles, and then it will tell where you have gone, where are you right now, and things like that. The smallest tracking device. So such tracking devices, you have to be very careful, because people would like to know where you are. They like to track you. So you get these devices called RF readers, RF identifiers. These are radio frequency identifiers, which will tell you if any bug is there. Now, when I talk about bug, it can be a video recorder, it can be a hidden camera, it can be a mic, it can be it can be anything. So this particular device, which is about 3,500 to 4,000 rupees, it will tell you in your room if it is there. So it is always better to have one for the institution that you work at, and just do a scan of your entire room, of your house or anything, and find out if somebody has kept, because you never know. Probably your servant might have kept something, or somebody who pretends to be your friend might have come and kept something. So possibilities are plenty, but we have to be very careful, because I don't think so you would want to see your hidden camera video on the internet someday, or one of your voice recordings where you have spoken about something being viral. So be very, very careful with regard to that, because become vigilant when browsing websites. Flag and report suspicious mails. Never click on unfamiliar links. And if you're still not sure, copy that link and paste it in VirusTotal and find out. Use a virtual private network VPN whenever possible for a better secure connection. Ensure that the websites are safe. Like you have to see that it is HTTPS, so that it is safe, and keep antivirus update, applications update, and use strong password with 14 plus characters. And for those of you having that forensic blend of mind, then I request you to please visit this Paladin. So Paladin, you can just download. Paladin is a wonderful open source. This one, what is that? It's a forensic tool. So it's got about 100 plus tools in them, live CDs. So 29 categories. Now, talking about the various categories, it can be mobile device analysis, malware analysis, social media analysis, hashing tools, password discovery, thumbnail analysis, and finally encryption tools. So many tools are there. You would love to use it. So use this Paladin on forensic mode. So and one more thing which I want to tell people is, because of the digital devices that we use, our neck is 4 to 6 kilo, and we keep looking at the mobile phone. If it is at 0 degree, the neck is 4 kilo. If it is 15 degree, it's 12 kilo strain. 30 degrees, 17. 45 degree, 22 kilo. And if you bend 60 degree, then it is 27 kilo strain on the neck. And that's why most of us are having neck pain, and we are having the spondylitis. I'm pretty sure many of you are right now touching your neck and trying to find out if you have got the pain or not. So please make sure that you keep your neck at 0 degree, and watch it. Even the screen has to be right in front of you, so that you don't have to bend your neck. So this is very important. And when you're watching, now see, we have already spoken for 1 hour 40 minutes. So for every 20 minutes of your screen time, for 20 seconds, you have to look 20 feet away, so that you don't strain your eyes. And your eyes also, the specs that you're using, I don't know if you can see this, the specs over here, it's got a blue coating, because it whatever the blue light comes from the LED displays, it blocks it, because that is one thing that harms your eyes and causes headache. So many of you, even though you don't have specs, it is better to wear a specs with a blue ray blocker, blue light blocker, so that it does not affect your eyes and you don't get headache. Okay, so be very careful. Now, we've come to the end of the seminar. So if you have any questions, I'll keep the next 15-20 minutes for the questions. But before that, I was talking about the landline hacking to cryptojacking. So now what exactly is cryptojacking? You know that these days all the transactions in the dark web is happening through bitcoins and Bitcoin. There are people called as Bitcoin miners who verify the transactions that happen among the Bitcoin users. Now, for verifying transactions, a lot of mathematical, difficult, complex problem is given, and they have to solve the problem for which they need high computation power, and with one system it is not possible. So what they do is they hack into your systems and use your computational power of your systems, and using your computational power, they mine bitcoins and they make money. Now, what happens if they use your system is, one, your system files are compromised. Second is, your system becomes slow. Many people tell me, sir, my system is very slow. I have a Core i7, I have a quad core, octa core processor. Still, it is slow. It is slow because your system has been a target of cryptojacking, where somebody has taken control of it and they're using your system for mining the Bitcoin. So be very careful with regard to that, and never watch screens in a dark room. I repeat, never watch bright screens in a dark room. It will harm your eyes very, very badly. So anyways, I hope you've enjoyed the session. It was such a pleasure to talk to all of you for about 1 hour 45 minutes, and this is my mobile number, my email address, and my Facebook. I request you to like my page if you want to be in touch with me, and I'll keep posting contents about cyber safety, cyber security. If you're going to like the page, then you'll keep getting the regular updates with regard to that. Okay, and I'm not available over phone for calls, only WhatsApp. I use it on this number. All right, so if you have any questions, I would be very happy to take your questions. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Participants, kindly unmute yourself to ask any questions. Sir, by the time they ask, if you have put queries when you were when you are taking the session, the questions are like this. The privacy widescreen filter you have told us to put on the desktop, can we do it for mobile? Is anything is there like that?
It is available even for mobiles. You can put it, but it depends upon which mobile you're using, because most of the screens that they give are for popular mobiles. So if you're using a popular mobile, it's you can put it. No problem.
Oh, okay. I think the person who have asked got an answer for this. And many have asked about the tools. You have explained a lot of tools which we need to keep when we are using the digital information. They're asking to upload the tools and the description of those tools. All the participants wants to know, because then and there you have told these are all the URLs or so many things. Now they want a tool in list of tools.
Well, yeah, I'll share the PPT so that they can use it. No problem. As long as it is used for educational and good purposes, and they don't use it against somebody.
Yeah, sure. And sir, I have a question. The 17th one, the new generation crime, where is the smart, like hidden cameras will be kept. So nowadays, even in a bulb, if we go for the resort or hotels, even they are keeping on the bulb, how will come to know that it is there? Any, like.
Yeah, see, let me tell you why they keep. Okay, so the first question is, we need to understand why these hidden cameras are kept. Now, if you watched any YouTube video, just before the video starts, you will be seeing an ad playing, isn't it so? So when the ad comes, you have two options. One is watch the entire ad, and the other one is you have to skip the ad. So if you skip the ad, on an average, the person who has uploaded the video gets about 1 or 2 paisa. But if you watch the ad, the person gets 5 paisa. Okay. I'm just giving you an average money that people are earning by these ads on the websites, on YouTube, by uploading content. There's a boy called Ryan, And here's a channel on YouTube called as Ryan's Toys, where he's already earned about $23 million just by posting commentaries on the various toys that are there. And his channel is viewed by millions of people and he's earned $23 million. Okay. Now, in India, when it comes to the internet, many people, I should say, the 60 to 70% of the internet usage in India, unfortunately, happens for watching pornography. And these porn websites also have ads playing up before the video starts. Now, you can't upload any regular video on a porn website. You have to upload something that's compromised or something that is, you know what type of videos come on such sites. Now, how do they get such contents? Now, for example, if somebody tells me, Anand sir, I want one video of yours where you are talking about darknet, I'll say, okay, I'll record a video and I'll give it to him. But if somebody asks me, Anand sir, I want a video of yours where you're changing your shirt, I don't think so I would make the mistake of giving it to him. Now, as you said, what he can do is he can put one hidden camera somewhere in the resort where I'm going, or probably he can hack into my system by putting a keylogger and taking control of my front camera or the back camera and things like that. So the two things. To take care of our digital devices, we have to ensure that the malwares and all these things, we stay protected and we make sure that the antivirus is there, malware detection is there, so our digital devices are safe. Now, second, for these videos to be recorded, they need cameras. So camera detectors are there. So you get these tools called as hidden camera detectors, so which will detect the hidden cameras. There are even mobile apps are there. You can just go to Google Play Store. Some of them don't work, some of them do work. So I'm not going to vouch on them, but still hidden camera detector apps are there which can detect if any hidden cameras are there in the room. So one is the camera, other one is the audio. Audio can be detected by using these RF detectors, so which will tell you if it is there or not. So as we use such tools for detecting, the hackers are also coming out with tools which can evade such detections. So their countermeasures are also very, very strong. So it's basically an on and on war, I should say, between the ethical hackers and the regular hackers, where we try to find out how to make sure that whatever tools they use or whatever techniques they use, we don't fall trapped to it. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Sir,
Hello,
a
sir.
question
This
for
is
you.
Vishwanath. Hello. Are you able to hear my voice?
Yes, yes, sir. Please tell me.
Yeah. So actually, I have seen one of the posts that the cyber attack was done on Dr. Reddy's lab. Can you please explain me about that cyber attacks which was going on pharmaceutical sites right now?
In fact, I'm not very sure on that, sir, because I have not gone through whatever has happened with the Dr. Reddy's particularly. But let me tell you what has happened. Now, not just with Dr. Reddy's, but with pharmaceutical, because healthcare data is a very, very important data, which is of prime importance to many hackers for many reasons. Number one is, the minute I get to know about your healthcare, then I can sell a lot of products to you, because you know that the pharmaceutical industries are one that make a lot of money. And the second thing is, it can also be used against you. See, the other day, a hospital in England was subjected to ransomware attack, where all the critical data of the patients and things were encrypted. And in fact, there are rumors that people have also died because of that, okay, because they could not get the treatment on time. So a lot of havoc can be done, especially with this. Now the reason for this is because people don't value the importance of data. Now, I'm not saying that Dr. Reddy's have not valued, but I'm talking in general when it comes to institutions, maybe schools or colleges or anywhere for that matter. How many of us have seen a data protection officer being present in any of the industries who takes care and ensures that the data is safe, it is protected, and it is managed properly. No, I can say very few of the companies do that, number one. And second thing, the attacks that happen many a times are not just because from an outsider, it can also happen because of an insider, because the insider gets access to many things, and these days because of the work from home and all that, so there are a lot of things that can happen. So the whole point which I want to tell over here is, sir, whether it is Dr. Reddy's or whether it is any organization for that matter, we have to make sure that if it is a website or if it is a app or anything, the vulnerability assessment, the penetration testing, the various cyber security tests, everything has to be up to date. Okay, now for example, there are many pen testing tools which will tell you whether your system is safe or not. Of course, it would cost people to maintain high levels of security. And in fact, I was even surprised that of lately, even some Twitter accounts of some of the best people in the world were also hacked. So all these things can happen only because there are loopholes, and we have to be very careful and take care of things, because data is the new oil, and data can be used against us in ways that we cannot even expect.
Thank
Hi,
you, sir.
doctor.
Hello, sir.
Hi, doctor. A question for you.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to learn from you which graphical files, for example, .pngs, GIFs, or whatever other popular formats are there, can carry a virus. The question is, which graphical files having example extensions like .png, GIF, JPGs, or any other graphical formats are capable of carrying a virus? Because typically these files are not scanned.
Correct. So
Is there any
this,
good known information?
yes, sir. So this particular thing, whatever you have said, file carrying virus, this technique is called as steganography. So what basically happens is we use these image files as a carrier, where a malware or a virus we put it into that container and we send it. Because as you said, you have rightly said that these files will not get scanned. Now, there is a tool called Xiosteganography, XIAO. You can just Google for that tool, Xiosteganography. Unfortunately, it can, you can carry such malware on even PNG or even GIF or JPEG also. There is no rule that no, it happens only for JPEG or PNG files, but almost every file can carry if it is properly carried out. So the tool is Xiosteganography. I have personally used that tool. You can carry on any. I've not checked it on .bmp files, the bitmap files, but the others I've tried and it works like a charm.
Slight rephrase, please. What I'm saying is these files are not scanned because they are huge in sizes and it's not possible to scan them. But steganography is basically hiding a file and sending it through. So till it is unhidden and activated, it should not matter, right? It's like passing a secret information. It's not like it's going to infect the system. You copy?
No, I understand, sir, what you're telling, but the whole idea here is that if you're using a messenger like WhatsApp, or if you're using any of these things, they don't do the scanning part at all. The scanning part happens only if your operating system or the Android system that you're using has got a tool
Scanning.
for checking the files that comes, yeah, or an antivirus that you have, which will anything that comes, a firewall or an antivirus or anything that you are using, which will check. Otherwise, the checking never happens. No, the only thing that happens is now if you're having an email service provider, the email just gets dumped to you. Now, when you download it, the verification has to happen there. Of course, now Google is right now it checks for the files that you send, of course, because it doesn't allow you to upload .exe files and things like that. But not all the providers do that, though, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Any more questions from participant side? Just I'll check, sir, in chat. Anyone has posted the question? Yeah, one more is this. Sir, what about the scratch pad on the GPay? Is it safe? As we always use them when we do the money transaction.
No, the scratch cards are okay because in GPay it doesn't. If you win something, it automatically puts it in your account, so there is no problem. But the scratch cards, which people pretend to be like from GPay, which they send you a link and you open that and some new website opens, that is unsafe. But GPay is okay. You can you get a scratch card, you scratch it, and the money comes to you. There's no problem with that as such. But make sure it is GPay only. It is not some other scratch card. I'm talking about scratch card that opens in GPay.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, somebody is asking for a cyber security carrier in Karnataka State. I think KSP is Karnataka State Police, if I'm not wrong. But anyways, as of now, sir, as of now, there are no exclusive openings for cyber security people. No, it's not there as of now. Especially in Karnataka, you don't have anything like that. You have to join as a regular SI or a regular DYSP or a regular IPS officer, and then you can opt for a transfer to CID or the cyber security stations called as the CEN station, CEN. That is cyber, economics, and narcotics. So you have to take it there, but exclusively like how you have SI detective or SI wireless, SI law and order, SI reserve police. You don't have something called SI cyber safety. You don't have something like that. So you'll have to get into the regular mode, and then you'll have to ask for a transfer to CEN, or you'll have to ask for a transfer to CID.
Doc, are you aware of any good antivirus for Linux? Paid will also do, but fully working with all the features available like in Windows.
There are a couple of antiviruses that are there, but the latest one, if you want me to give you the list, if you can just WhatsApp it to me.
No, not list, just one according to which you have used and it works with all the features. Only one. I'll be evaluating it for Linux environment.
Yeah, you can use some of. Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, I have tried a couple of them. So there is something called Qubes, QUBES. Okay, Qubes is okay, and then you have the CLAM. I'm not sure if I pronounced it right.
Yeah,
CLAM.
right.
CLAM. Yeah, CLAM is there. Qubes is there. So these are the two things which I have personally used. But the best ones I'll have to just check and I'll have to tell you. But CLAM works.
No, but it doesn't have URL scanning. It doesn't have many of the features. Plain scanning it is, and it's very good for a command line. It does not have a graphical environment. It's typical to how Windows is.
Yeah, because that's how most of the Linux distros are, right?
Yeah.
But if you have used the Sleuth Kit and all that, the Sleuth Kit and things like that, they have their inbuilt some malware detection analysis, which works okay. But I have personally used Kali Linux, which comes with some inbuilt tools, which works fine.
No, here we're talking about end users. So they will not use Kali, they may use Ubuntu, or they may use maybe Red Hat. And they're looking for a typical software where it does this basic scanning right from USBs to websites to you name it. A typical that is available on Windows also. Most of the commercial softwares are half built. They are not having that feature.
Not up to the mark. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's not having any feature. No, up to the mark is different. They don't have half the features.
True.
Thank you.
Sir, sir. Good afternoon. Actually, it was quite surprising your entire presentation, and of course, definitely sometimes that was astounding also, because we weren't aware of what kind of exposures we are going through. First thing, of course, since the previous person asked this particular question, I want to just confirm from you, sir. Is it safer to use Linux, or is the current Windows or whatever Windows 10? Is it safe enough to continue on laptops?
Yeah, no, Linux is always safer than Windows. There is no doubt on that. But Windows, the 10 version which I'm using or which people are using, which comes with their very good antivirus called the Windows Defender. It is
Yes,
pretty
sir.
okay. It's pretty okay.
Okay, okay, okay. So there's no issues in using Windows and continuing with Windows. Windows 10 is what I'm using actually. So
Windows 10 with the Windows Defender activated. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Defender activated. Defender is activated. Sir, one problem with Linux is, of course, yes, we have to keep on updating very regularly, maybe once in a month kind of thing, or that's the only issue. Otherwise, I think maybe Linux. I've worked in Linux very shortly, very briefly, but yeah, of course, as part of user friendliness, Windows is definitely.
That's absolutely right, sir. But it's all about the GUI and the user friendliness because people are using Windows, so people are used to Windows. They're finding Linux a little difficult to use.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Hope all the questions are answered, sir. Still one more. Yeah. Okay, sir. Dear participants, we are almost end of the today's
I think
session.
there's one question which free software for lock and safety of mobile when kids are using it. Actually, when kids are using it, there are privacy settings in Android and Apple phones. I've made a video on that. Probably I can share the video to that person if they contact me. It's about what are those settings that one needs to take because these days, since online classes are happening and parents give their phones to their children, so there are possibilities that these phones can be misused. So there are inbuilt parental control tools in Android as well as Apple, which can be used for better accessibility for the kids as well as for better monitoring. And also, if you want to monitor your kids personally, then there's a software called Net Nanny. So Net Nanny can be used, which can monitor their activities on phone. But otherwise, the regular parental controls are fair enough.
Sir, not only he, even we want that video, sir. Many are in that state.
I will just send that video to you, ma'am,
Yeah,
so that
sure.
it can be forwarded to all of them.
Yeah,
Because
sure,
I've made that video for both. It's for Android as well as for iOS users.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay.
Good evening, Professor. Myself, Principal, Copeland College of Engineering.
Good evening, sir.
Sorry, Professor. I was not able to join right from first. I went for a meeting. We are in preparation of NAC, so that I went for a meeting. I saw the 50% of your this thing, very informative, and thank you for the things. Thank you for the presentation. Very good and effective presentation you did.
Thank you, sir. And wishing you all the best for the NAC.
So it may be either in now this month end. We are mostly expecting in December, Professor.
Good, sir.
When it is for you? When it is likely?
I'm not sure on the date, sir, but we recently got the NBA, so we are all.
If you worked for NBA, then NAC is nothing, sir.
NAC is easier, yes, sir.
You can do. NAC, NBA, how many branches accredited, Professor?
4 branches, sir. 4 branches.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Okay, sir. When you visit Bangalore, please come to our college also.
For sure, sir.
Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you. Bye.
Anand, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Your session was very interesting, very informative, outstanding. No words to say.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
And many scenarios which you have explained, we have come across in our day-to-day life. More consequences, what all there, we were not knowing. So after your session, we have realized where and all we have to look into it. And especially when we see this, actually these youngsters need to have this session. They really need this. And thank you so much, sir, for being with us for this session.
I got that link. Is it okay if I can just send it over here only?
that video, right, sir?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. You can send here
Just give me a second.
so that everybody will take.
Everybody can access it.
Yes, yes. Sir, PPTs we will share, sir. We have your PPTs. We will share it.
So this is the link for the parental control, which I've just posted here in the chat section. So people can check what to do, how to take care of it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And there is an announcement for the participants. Dear participants, many have taken like advertising your information or about your courses and on this chat box. Kindly, I request not to do this in this academic session. And tomorrow, feedback.